Hi, Badmouth readers, Badmouth audience. My name is Jennifer Jordan Scheller, and I am a writer and teacher from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Rebecca Aronson asked me to read a little bit of some of my writing for this Badmouth series. And so thank you, Rebecca, for inviting me to participate. This is really awesome. It gave me a chance to brush my hair and during this pandemic time. And also it's just really nice to have this community where we're continuing to try and communicate and create art. I am working on a book. It's a memoir, and it is called Life in Flight, and it's about overcoming an anxiety disorder while learning to parent. And not really overcoming it, but I guess just managing it better. So the line of the suspense in the story is internal and external. So part of the central struggle in the book has to do with whether or not the protagonist, since it's memoir, first person me, will be able to fully individuate from her family of origin so she can parent her children more effectively. And then the triggering event in the book that starts the protagonist in her journey is a death in the family. And grief and other things in the story kind of propel it forward to help the protagonist evaluate her choices that she can make in her life. So that's the whole book. But I've had, and it's not published, but I've had chapters from the book appear in different places. So I thought what I could do for today is I have a rough draft of this whole entire thing. I'll be working on it some more to get it polished and ready to send out somewhere soon. But this piece that I wrote called The Lesson, I've been working on it for a long time. I first submitted it to a workshop at UNM when I was probably 26 or 27. And I submitted it to creative nonfiction multiple times using different names and got rejected. And then I submitted it I would keep working on it and flesh it out and reflect. And then finally they ended up accepting part of it, which was awesome. So this is a short little piece that appears in my manuscript, and it is called The Lesson. It appeared in issue 69 of Creative Nonfiction. The theme of that issue was intoxication. So here goes the lesson. Hold your breath or the fumes will choke you. My mother held a lowball glass to her chest, vodka glinting in the morning light, and said, "Then you swallow." She raised her chin, peered from under thick glasses, and tossed a shot down her gullet. She said we should take a break from our chores. We were living in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, a suburb of Albuquerque. My stepfather, Gary, was not home. My mother breathed through her nose and hissed out, "Then you take a breath." She poured another shot over ice and said, "Now it's your turn." She held out the glass. I grimaced, but I also felt grown up, mostly because I was 13 and drinking booze was something grown-ups did. Also, the emotional and rational parts of my brain didn't know each other yet. "Oh, come on, don't be afraid. I want you to know how to act when you're older, when you start going to parties." I took the glass, held it to my nose, sniffed. "Don't smell it. Hold your breath." I shrugged, sipped, gagged, and nearly dropped the glass. Oh! I hammed it up, gaped my mouth toward heaven, and said, "That's terrible." My mother laughed. "You breathed in the fumes. That's what makes you choke, not the taste." She poured another shot and drank it demurely, as if she was having a spot of tea. "Would you like more?" I shrugged, an ambivalent alcoholic in training. "I would like to forget this, but I can't." My mother was lonely and on the verge of her second divorce, this time from my stepdad. He would soon start fooling around with a sad woman whose son went to my brother's karate class. My mother was drinking to forget her current reality. I took another drink, and the frigid spirits burned an ice-cold flame, but the second time, I didn't gag. I was a natural. It's not so bad, right? This was a life lesson, not unlike an end table dusting, window washing, laundry folding, and toilet scrubbing. Drinking would become our ritual. A little while later, my mother proclaimed, "Girl, you need to learn to dance." She thought I should know the mambo, cumbia, merengue, and her beloved salsa. She also deemed the ability to incite a conga line a valuable life lesson. She turned on Paul Simon's Graceland, an album that still signifies for me the beginning of a good time. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na. Soft voices drifted through the room, the distant hum of South Africans releasing themselves from the shackles of apartheid. My mother and I danced, bumped into walls as we congaed to Paul Simon's Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes. We stumbled through the halls, cha-chaing past the vacuum. And why were we supposed to vacuum? Why always on a Saturday morning? Because what if company came and an end table was not dusted? The shame. My mother danced toward the kitchen to refresh our glasses. She said, "Loosen up, baby girl." She grew me inside her body, seed of me sprouting into an amphibious blob. I was nourished by her, created by her, inside her, but being raised by her is something I want to forget, something I fear I will repeat, because I am a mother now too. My mother coached me. "Listen for the drums." I shook my hips and felt electric as Paul Simon sang, "Ooh." One of my knees jutted left, the other bent low to the ground. Even though I couldn't hear the beat she wanted me to hear, I did hear the garage door. I was pretty sure my stepdad wouldn't like that I was drinking. An 8th grader drinking vodka at 10 in the morning? Lost my pace. It's not normal. But I was loyal to my mother, to the idea of divine motherhood, the archetype of mother, ever loving, ever giving, ever nurturing, doesn't mesh, not even a little, with who my mom was, but I clung to it for years. That was easier than realizing she was a flawed human. I worshipped my mom, yet living with her sometimes felt like watching a speeding train barrel through everything on its tracks. All she had to say was wooden spoon, her threat for spanking, and I stepped in line. Her threat of corporal punishment, like slugging down shots of vodka, is at war with the archetype. But never mind that. Fear, love, these two emotions cause similar sensations inside my body. The quaking, the quickening heart, the lightheadedness. I didn't question whether my family was the kind of organization that deserved my loyalty. I loved my family because it was mine. Logic never stood a chance. My stepfather marched into the living room and lowered the volume as my mother demonstrated a correct kickball change. I froze mid-shimmy. "Ezra, what are you doing?" The lowball glass dripped with sweat. Vodka vapors seeped from our skin. "Are you two drunk?" Silence. How many neurons in my brain didn't properly fire because I was tanked? "Mom says I have a high tolerance." Gary stomped around the living room and said, "I can't believe you two." My mother interrupted, pushing out words as if they were covered in glue. "It's okay. Jennifer is my little drinking buddy. She doesn't get drunk without adult supervision." Thank you.